A world isn't a world without its inhabitants. In Pantheon, Rise of the Fallen, the upcoming MMORPG by Visionary Realms, the world of Terminus is home to more than just the 9 races that have arrived from other realms and times. In fact, there are several others that have existed on the planet long before that. In the August 2020 Developer Roundtable, Pantheon's lead writer J.N. Gerhardt was asked, apart from the Jinto, are there other lost races we might encounter on Terminus? To which he replied, yes, there are other races. Races like the Tholen, Giganna, or Iguadors, a lot of races native to Terminus. The written lore for Pantheon identifies a few more as well, some with their own detailed history and others that are more mysterious. So, in part 1 of this video series, we're going to take a closer look at some of the lost races of Terminus. Our exploration begins with the Orcs. As we will see with many of these races, how Terminus came to be is a tale unique to their culture. We are told Orcs claim the planet was once a ring of titanic mountains strung together by bridges, water, ice, and magma. Ancient deities fought from each mountain, pushing them together into one mass that has been made smooth by the waters of time. The binding of the land parallels the pledge which binds all Orcs, despite their tribal society. There is an ancient accord known as the Bloodsworn Covenant, which was founded before any of the Sacred Six came to Terminus. Orcs take a holistic view of the land. One of the aspects of their Bloodsworn Covenant is that all Orc tribes are bound to protect the lands of their counterparts. When the 9 races arrived on Terminus, Orcs were greatly impacted. Humans arrived on Terminus in the Age of Chaos, during the Cursed Frost of 459 IH. Their arrival was to an area of the world to which the Orcs were bound. Specifically, the North Tusk occupy a region they call Hangor, which has become the common name for their area of domain in Avendir's Pass. From that rocky, frosty perch, they've launched several unsuccessful campaigns against Thronefast in an attempt to take back the lands their forefathers forsook during the Deicide War. As history books are often written by the conquerors, there is no mention that the Orcs occupied the land in the official narrative. Their relentless yet futile efforts to reassert themselves comes from a belief in the blood's sake of the tribe, a maxim beloved by every Orc from their youth. This confession crystallizes their sacrificial lifestyle by stating that even their own blood belongs to the tribe, not themselves. So it becomes clear from this understanding that the common Orc has little free will when it comes to their role. As the lore tells us, an Orc without a tribe is a rock flung into a bottomless sea. Shrouded in mystery are the next precursor race, known as the Tholen. To date, we've seen no images of this race, and there's been no dedicated telling of their tale. What little is known of them is scattered throughout the lore. It's revealed that theirs is an ancient race, as the Tholen recount a lineage of dragon masters that stretches all the way back to the dawn of the planet. They name 4 flying beasts that each heralded a new season on their wings, yielding autumn, winter, spring, and summer in the wake of their flight across the planet. But who were the Tholen as a people? Were they city dwellers akin to humans and elves, or more primal like ogres and halflings? Did they prefer the art of war or the pursuit of knowledge? Reading into the lore a little further, it may be that the Tholen were chroniclers of the ages. Several pieces of lore suggest they bore witness to history and recorded these events. For example, there are those on Terminus who believe the dragons will one day return to the world. The lore indicates that this is a myth that has abided for centuries, and is at least remarked on by the Tholen. Furthermore, concerning the departure of the Rainborn dragons, the lore notes this is verified by credible native peoples such as the Tholen of Ithilus and the Alvana Giants of what is now Kingsreach. Their credibility is strengthened as there's little question that the Tholen were highly intelligent. They were clearly interested in the passage of time, and marked such prior to the known timeline. We learn that after the Rainborn departed, the Tholen began a new calendar to correspond with the strange new behavior, the Ithosbrun Hiljan, abbreviated as IH. This means of denoting time has been adopted by the 9 races, suggesting the Tholen remain an influence in the modern age. If nothing else, the Tholen were clearly historians of some tradition, be it oral or written. From this, we can also infer that the Tholen have a deep-rooted connection to dragonkind. If this is true, what was their relationship to the dragons? Caretakers, disciples, perhaps even overlords? Where was their home of Ithilus, And what remains of it in the current age? Will we encounter the Tholen in our adventures in Terminus? Ironically, time will tell. As mentioned, the Alvana Giants are also viable references for Terminus' past. Known as Giganna among their own, giants have their own planetary origin story. It's a fable told in symbols, as hieroglyphs of the Giganna suggest there was one progenitor for all magic, language, and life, who knit the planet together from the fabrics of other worlds. It is significant that this worldview seems to align, at least in spirit, with the mystery of the collisions which brought the 9 races to Terminus. The lore tells us that the 6 races who were brought to the planet by means still unknown, a power which outranks every god or even pantheon a sleepy zoo of historians could name. Furthermore, from the foundational confessions of Semina, we learn, "But I saw a dreadful power spread its wings over the cosmos, and it pierced my faith in the past. I stared into the eyeless face of an eclipse as it bore down upon my world, crowned in the dust of those it had already turned to nothing." Does the similarity of the giants' version of creation give it credence as one of the true histories? To answer that, we would know more about the giants. Consider for a moment that the dusk of their dominion fell millennia past. The reasons for their demise are astonishingly difficult to uncover. It may be that the giants had access to insights not yet discovered in Terminus' present. And though giants continue to exist in the world, scholars have yet to establish a dialogue with the Alvana Giants, as the race demonstrates little interest in sharing their past with the world that has grown up around them. Either from reverence or ignorance, the secrets of the world of giants are mostly kept locked away from inquisitive eyes. Secrets yet to be revealed are often a call for sages hoping to learn of Terminus' greatest mystery. So a journey into the Roan Mountains may be something we pursue in the future. Finally, we come to a people that may have been the most devastated by the arrival of the 9 races on Terminus, a people divided in 2. We speak of the Orphans and Khagans. According to the lore, the Khagans are an offshoot of the Khagans orphan race, who split from their desert brethren in 568. The Orphans made their home in the desert region of rainfall, known as the Khagans. They were a tightly woven community of Mesa orphans, resourceful masters of desert life. In the majestic coves that soar above the sands, they've rooted and bloomed. Described as a jovial but discerning people, the Orphans are quite hospitable, and their oasis is a jewel of the land. Yet, when the ogres arrived on Terminus in 121 IH, conflict soon followed. It is said their rivalry with the ogres of Broken Maw is old and violent. Wayward members of the northern clans are typically attacked on sight when venturing close to the mesa, with their head carried off as a trophy. We can see that the Orphans did not take kindly to the ogre's incursion, yet it may be that the more aggressive of their people were in the minority. Most of the Orphans were eventually chased out of their homelands by the ogres, although it's suggested one may still encounter pockets of them when sojourning into the deserts. If so, it may be wise to protect your appendages, especially should you be of ogre kind. But what of the more peaceful Khagans? Sadly, they did not find peace in their separation. Their new home was to become the site of the arrival of the Scar in 621 IH, little more than 50 years after they settled. The lore notes the Scar did start a war almost immediately upon their arrival, for they landed in a wooded spot that bordered on the lands of a people known as the Khagans. Life was again thrown into chaos for the Khagans. Refugees of the desert, their more hospitable land was transformed by the Scar. It's stated, faster than any race could react, they turned Khagan streams acrid and enslaved a number of their population. The peaceable Khagans fled, but the Scar barely gave chase before falling upon each other, as is their natural order. But not all escaped. The tale of Baknoi, a young Khagan taken as a slave by the Scar and later rescued by the elves, recounts the plight of the Khagans. We are told her testimony has borne scrutiny and the passage of time horrifyingly well. Knowledge of these races provides the backdrop against which the playable races of Pantheon will exist. Should you play a human in Thronefast, to know the history of the North Tusk Orcs would be valuable. Or, as an elf, the Alvana Giants of the Roan Mountains, at the doorstep of Fairthale, may be a factor in your adventures. And clearly, if you play an Ogre or Scar, you have good reason to fear the sands of the Khagan Desert. I hope you've enjoyed this exploration of the lost races of Terminus. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll continue to shed light on the races of Terminus' dark ages. And until then, cheers, and thanks for watching.